everybody. Yours truly, Frank Morano here. Happy Monday. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. I certainly did. A busy weekend, but a good one. Friday, we had our WABC gala. I don't even work there anymore, but still feel like I'm part of the WABC gala, the WABC family. I was very pleased to be invited and to be able to reconnect with so many old friends like my buddy Sid Rosenberg, Governor David Patterson, and Dominic Carter, Rita Cosby, and a great, just wonderful group of people who were all on hand for the event. And a big thank you to my sister Claudia for being my date for the evening. This is the one event a year. Generally, she missed last year, but this is the one event a year that we go to together. And we had a good time. So it was a great time. And a couple of very funny moments. I've talked before about how about 7 or 8 years ago, about 7 years ago, Lionel, who now hosts the show that I'm hosting now, he just stopped talking to me all of a sudden. And he was seated at the same table. So I went over and you got a warm greeting from Governor Patterson and Mary Patterson and Governor Pat and Dominic Carter, who were also at the table, and this other guy who I didn't know who he was. I think he might have paid to be there. I don't know. And I went over to Lionel to say hello, and he was kind of trying to avert his eyes. But finally, I kind of got in there, and I was able to get him to make eye contact. But it was clear that neither he nor his wife had much of an interest in talking to me, and I couldn't really talk with them because it was just so loud at that point of the party that it was difficult to have a conversation. So the reason that he is annoyed with me and stopped talking to me remains a mystery. I don't know what it is, but it remains a mystery. And I didn't get to see Mark Simone, who has not talked to me for about 18 years, but my sister Claudia was introduced to him as Frank Morano's sister. And as soon as she was introduced to him as Frank Morano's sister, he promptly sat down, turned away from her, and immediately sat down. So that was Friday. Saturday, we had a really interesting day. We had the beach cleanup that my office sponsors as part of NYC H2O down at the beach in Tottenville. A great group of volunteers. They had over 100 volunteers, many of which were young people from a lot of great schools all over our district. And I met one young man who's in junior high school now, who has been volunteering with NYC H2O since kindergarten. Let me tell you something. The amount of trash that they were able to find on the beach and clean in a relatively short amount of time was staggering. There must have been 24 bags of trash. If anything, that's conservative. At least 24 bags of trash. And then you had all sorts of weird stuff. Tires. People throwing away tires. Carpets, all just thrown away and strewn about on the beach like that. So it was great to meet so many great volunteers who were all on hand to be part of the beach cleanup. So that was that. Then we had, after that, I went to the conference house right near the beach where they were cleaning up. By the way, for anybody watching, I see we have a whopping 1 person watching on Facebook, a whopping 0 watching on the YouTube, and 6 watching on the Instagram. Please feel free to like, comment, and share. Like, comment, and share. And obviously, if you have questions, just put them in the comments, and I will answer your comments, not on air here, but online, whatever this is. And if you have comments on any subject at all, or questions on any subjects at all, please put them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer or address them. But please share as well so other people see this video. Thank you for the heart, Vivian Soto. Anyway, we went to the conference house where they did this reenactment of the peace conference. And it was great to be there. They have these old school fires that they set up, and a lot of people dressed like Minutemen and Loyalists, and really just a wonderful, wonderful event put on largely by the Conference House Association, which my office is happy to fund. So that was that. We had a couple of other events. Carmine came with me to all of them. He was delightful. And then we had our block party on. Oh, I saw Michael Strasberg, who I see checking in. He was there with his 2 children, at the conference house as well. So it was great to see Michael as well. But if like I said, if you have questions, just put them in the comments and I'll address them. Then we had our block party where we battled the rain and a number of tumultuous political allegiances among people on the block. But a good time was had by all, and it was fun. It was fun even in the rain. It was we gave away a lot of Frank Morano campaign Frisbees, and I think and some little mini foam microphones emblazoned with. I wish I would have had one with me. I didn't think emblazoned with Frank Morano as your voice for Staten Island. So that's that. Tonight. Usually I go on Arthur Aidala's show every Monday from Mondays with Morano, but he's doing the Taste of Times Square tonight. So I was told that my services were no longer needed. But I was there Friday in Arthur's law office right before the WABC gala. And I was told that they had my, they wanted my expertise on the mayor's announcement. That wasn't much of an announcement. It was basically just an announcement that he's not dropping out of the race. So I jumped in with Joan Pelzer, who was filling in for Arthur that night. She's normally his producer, but she was filling in for Arthur that particular night. And so they had me on to react to some of the breaking news. So I don't know that I really added anything, but I jumped on. So you can catch that podcast if you're counting on listening to me tonight on Arthur's show and you're suffering from Morano withdrawal. Check it out. So I was on with AC Mike today. Very interesting discussion with AC Mike. I won't get too much into the weeds on this. AC Mike is the other show I go on every Monday in the 12 o'clock hour. And basically, AC Mike is at the heart of a big controversy that has enmeshed Atlantic City politics. So we don't need to go into much of it here. I think one of the people in the Facebook group, and if you want to join the Facebook group, obviously feel free to do so. Just go to facebook.com/group/Radio Morano. One of the people in the Facebook group, I believe it was Arthur Vielkind, he posted a link to that discussion with AC Mike. I won't belabor the point here, but you can check it out. And I feel bad for him because he's just such a nice guy, and I hate to see his reputation besmirched at all. He's really such a great guy. Roman says, nice work you're doing, Frank. Congratulations. Thank you. Well, we're working hard. We have the stated city council meeting on Wednesday. And at that meeting, I'm very excited about this. I am going to be officially submitting legislation to make this the official flag of Staten Island. I'm excited about this. I'm going to be joined on this, I believe, by both of my Staten Island City Council colleagues, Camilla Hanks and David Carr. And with the three of us, in spite of the fact that we're from different parts of the island and have different political parties and different histories, different ethnicities, different sexualities, we are going to be speaking in one voice, saying that this flag should be the official flag of Staten Island. And right now, there are only two boroughs that have an official flag, the Bronx and Brooklyn, and we're hoping that to make Staten Island the third. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I hope I'm not spoiling this. Yeah. Hang tight. Yeah, I hope I'm not spoiling this. Oh, hi, Leanne. Leanne Collar-Ricardo checking in. I'm going to give each of my colleagues in the city council one of these. These are special flag lapel pins that I had commissioned, which show the flag of the United States, the flag of New York City, and the flag of New York State. And this is going to be in honor of the 400th anniversary of New York City, which we're celebrating this year. I'm going to give each one of them one of these flag lapel pins and say, I would really appreciate your support, especially in a banner year like the quadricentennial of New York City, in giving Staten Island its own official flag for the first time. And I'm hoping that some of my colleagues will be moved by that. All right. Zazu on Instagram writes, how's Carmine working out as your campaign manager? I'm a Brooklyn resident that wishes I could vote for you. Always listen to you when you broadcast on ABC Radio. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. He's working out pretty well. It's we're trying to come up with a good general election strategy, but I think we're pretty well positioned as far as the general election goes at this point. Although, if you want to help us out, anybody can make a contribution at morano4council.com. That's MORANO for council, FOR, council, COUNCIL.com. And if you're a resident of New York City, no matter which borough you live in, you can have your donation matched 8-1. So if you give us $100, that becomes a $900 donation. You give us $10, that becomes a $90 donation. So it's a way for, if you're a New York City resident, for you to have a big impact with an insignificant amount of money. So 8-1 match, morano4council.com. All right, if you're just tuning in, please like, comment, and share. Please feel free to put any questions in the comments. Since I'm not going to be on with Arthur today, this is kind of my way of addressing the public and answering any questions they might have on any subject. Could be radio related, could be related to national politics, international affairs, movies, television, the Mets, baseball in general, although it's been very depressing being a Met fan over the last week or so, although we'll get to play the Phillies, I guess, and apparently the Phillies are the only team we know how to beat. And then or anything locally, anything that we're doing in New York City or in the city council, feel free to put your comment anywhere you like. John Jandoli, who I was happy to see this morning, although it was a very, very difficult circumstance. It was at a funeral for a friend of mine and a family member of John's, and it was nice to see you, John. I wish it had been under better circumstances. I hope you and the family are doing okay. Coop says, what do you think of the Howard Stern swerve today? Look, as I said on AC Mike today, and you can listen to the podcast, I still think Howard's terrific. I think I realize a lot of Republicans don't like him anymore. A lot of Trump supporters may not like him, and I understand why. I don't know of anyone in any field that has been able to be this dominant and this skilled at their craft for as long as Howard has been. I mean, if you think about it, to think that he has been doing this at the top of his game for more than 40 years, it's extraordinary. I still find him to be an incredibly entertaining interviewer. I still find him to be the greatest storyteller in the history of radio. And I thought what he did today, where he kind of made people think that Andy Cohen was taking over for him and then announced that he was very happy at Sirius and he was staying, I thought that was vintage Howard. I thought it was funny. I thought it was clever. I thought it was great. So I thought, hats off to Howard. I'm glad he's sticking around. Henry Widener, New York needs more people like you, Frank. Thank you. I would argue that New York needs more people like you, Henry. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right. On Facebook, for Camo Man, or on Instagram rather, did you ever resolve your flickering lights issues? I think so. I think we resolved it just by putting in those bulbs that they don't make anymore. I'm afraid to talk too much about this because I honestly don't remember the answer. And if my wife is watching this and she says, after all the time and effort that we put into this, I still don't know how this was resolved, it will only reinforce all of the things that she already thinks about how I have no idea what's going on in our own house. So I think it was resolved, but I think it was resolved in a way that was kind of a patchwork fix. But I'll tell you what's annoying me now. We got solar panels maybe about a year ago. By the way, we have not seen in savings what we were expecting to in energy savings with these solar panels. Now, we only have them on the back of the roof. That's true. But we were projecting to see a lot more energy savings than we have been getting. Okay, put that aside. A month or two ago, we noticed in our bedroom, there's a leak. There's water leaking into our bedroom. And it's gotten worse with the Noah's Ark type storms that we had on Saturday. It was not just causing severe water damage, but it's bubbling. We had to pop it and see the water drain out like a drunkard at a urinal. So we have a very experienced roofer come take a look. And he says, there's nothing I can do for you. because you've got solar panels, and I'd have to basically take off these solar panels to get to the roof and fix the problem. Apparently, the installation of these solar panels, at least in one area, caused the leak, caused the roof problem. So now it says very clearly in the agreement with New York State Solar that they are responsible for any damage to the roof. Meanwhile, try and get somebody on the phone over there. It's impossible. So right now we're trying to reach someone at New York State Solar, and we've got a huge water leak problem in our bedroom. So if, God forbid, I die from inhaling mold caused by this perpetual water damage, you know, to thank the good folks over at New York State Solar. You know, everyone's invited to my memorial service, whatever that ends up being when I die, including my detractors, except for Ann Letus. She can skip it. But everyone else, including my detractors, is invited except for New York State Solar if mold poisoning is the cause of my demise, because I don't feel like they should be able to take part in any of the pro-Frank Morano revelry if they were at least in part responsible for my demise. So that's where we are on that front. That's what's happening in the Morano household. Not exactly a ringing endorsement for New York State Solar. I will tell you that. So there's that. All right. Anybody else have questions before I move on with doing the people's work? It's a beautiful day. I'm hoping to do some of the people's work outside. Currently, my wife has a broken computer, so she's at the Apple store with my son. I'd love to try and take him to the playground, scope out the situation there, but we have some other things today. But I have some other stuff to try and get done. Coop says, what is your prediction for the results of the mayor's race? I have no idea. Coop. Honestly, I have a hope. To me, people talk about this being a four-way race. You have three choices or four choices. I view this as really two choices. It's either Curtis Sliwa or Oblivion. I really think that the other three candidates that are not named Curtis Sliwa are hopelessly flawed. And I shudder to think at what will happen for the next 4 years if one of them is not elected. Now, if you're asking me to make a prediction, unfortunately, I think Mamdani is the favorite, a heavy favorite. Being a Democratic nominee in a Democratic city, that counts for something. Merrill Rosner says, hi, Frank. Hi, Merrill. Right back at you. So there's that. All right, Paulie Nugent is asking for 15 seconds of fame. Yeah, I don't know how to take calls on this. If I knew how to take calls, I would try to do some sort of 15 seconds of fame thing. But we'll work on it. But we'll see. I'd love to try and get back on the radio in some capacity for an hour or two a week, and then we could bring stuff back like 15 seconds of fame. But I'm not working too hard at trying to get a radio show back because honestly, my plate is pretty full on the city council front. So. We're getting hopefully a lot done, and there's a lot of the work. And friends of mine in government always said this, but I guess I didn't really have a full appreciation until I was elected myself. A lot of the most important work that you end up doing as a councilman or as any elected official, I suppose, is work that people never see, work that people never hear about, the behind the scenes meetings that happen, the creative ways of trying to solve problems, to keep bad projects from happening, the letters written, the endless meetings, the endless briefings. And that honestly is kind of what separates the people that do the job well, in my view, from the folks that just want a title or something. So, all right. If you want to help us in our campaign for the general election, go to Morano4Council.com. That's Morano4Council.com. We're going to be having a big rally on Staten Island for Curtis Sliwa on September 20th in the morning. So I hope you'll come to that. If you're a Staten Islander or even just a New York City resident, he could use your help as well. But, we're certainly, if you're a Staten Islander, don't forget about me as well. We've had at least one of my opponents has been increasingly aggressive in recent weeks, and that's fine. I say, bring it on. Bring it on. Happy to take on anyone in the battlefield of ideas. All right. Any other questions before I log off? Since I'm not doing Arthur's show today, I can't say I'll see you on the radio, so I'll see you when I see you.